Now talking to the man when it comes to motorsports racing. By the way, I want to make a correction. Go to NBCSports.com, and you're writing for, what part of NBCSports.com are you now writing for, Jerry Bonkowski?
The site is called Motorsports Talk. It's our sister site to NASCAR Talk, and the easiest way to get to it is just NBCSports.com/motors, MOTORS, and you'll get right to it.
Okay, because I know that I had been going through the links and all that to read about open wheel and stuff. And by the way, you've just recently written about Kenny Bernstein. Not, so yes, I'm having trouble with names that end in Steen. I remember having John Feinstein on this show, and originally he said, no, it's not John Feinstein, Marky, it's Steen. And, that's, anyway, but, hey, want to get back here. Quick question. I loved what I saw out of Bubba Wallace in that race. Is he going to be the new star of NASCAR?
Well, I think that he certainly has sown the seeds to become one of the next new stars. I mean, I've always been a big proponent of Bubba's, ever since he was even running for KBI, Kyle Busch back in the day. I see something in him that really gets me excited about his potential and his future. And now that he's, in NASCAR and Sprint Cup, I guess the first time this year,
At least you're not saying Winston.
I just had a good feeling. I didn't think he would finish as high as he did, finish second, but I mean that's a tremendous accomplishment and achievement for him. The biggest thing though is, like we were talking off the air during the break, he has to follow it up with good finishes in the upcoming race. We've got 35 more races to go. I mean, like when Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500 back in 2011, he didn't have that great of a season afterwards. He struggled at times. So, but I think Bubba, he's had such a good cross section of experience in the trucks and in the Xfinity cars that I think he definitely would fall in the same category of the promising up and coming new stars. Much like an Eric Jones or Ryan Blaney, guys like that. Austin Dillon, although he's been around for a few years now, but he would fall in that category as well too. So I'm very bullish on Bubba. I think he is definitely going to be a star. And when you have the Petty legacy behind you,
oh yeah,
you're driving the number 43. You can't help but not be successful, in my opinion.
Well, I just loved the emotions after the way that he was able to, call out what Hamlin said. Well, didn't you do the same thing to Blaney? He always referred to Richard Petty in the post-race interview as the king. That's big, and really, although I didn't quite get it because he said, he was upset at me. And I was like, what was it? Says what was the first rule? What was it? Don't wreck the car. And I'm thinking, how did he wreck the car? He just finished second, nearly won the race, for crying out loud. And then, but the one thing that I did notice, and I want to make this segue, is when he got emotional and was moved to tears in his second post-race interview, the one thought that I did have was the other historic element of this race. It was the last race for Danica Patrick, and I thought, something, Danica Patrick could not have gotten away with crying at a press conference. I mean, she really couldn't have, and Bubba Wallace could. And in some ways I said that even though she was 0 for 191 on the NASCAR circuit, maybe that shows you something about Danica Patrick and how she did live up to certain expectations. So I want to ask, we've asked this before, but now that the NASCAR career appears to be over, is she going to be remembered more as 0 for 191? Is she going to be remembered as someone that I just thought was great in presenting herself? I mean, she made 14 Super Bowl commercials, for crying out loud. Or will she be thought of, as the first full-time female driver on NASCAR? What do you think she's going to be thought of as?
Well, I think her legacy definitely is the fact that she was the first full-time driver, a female driver that went that long. I mean, Janet Guthrie did it for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was, back in the 70s. But I mean, Danica, did 191 races. That's basically the equivalent of roughly about 5 seasons, if you give or take, a few races here or there. So I mean, yeah, she did not win. I get that, but she put her heart and soul and effort into that. I mean, early on, I was
you mentioned, paving the way for other female drivers. It's interesting to note, although she's the first full-time female driver, she's actually the 16th female driver in NASCAR. And, it's these things that because of her presence, you start looking up. I asked you the last time we spoke about Patty Moise, but I was even looking up Sarah Christian and seeing how, my goodness, she did so well, or she finished in the top 10 in this one race where, and this track that now there's a shopping center there, but I never knew that there was a track in that shopping center. I've shopped at that shopping center, and I mean, it causing you to learn some of the history and all that. And like I said, it's not as if she was unique in that she was full-time. She was not necessarily unique in that she was female. So I want to ask you, who do you think the next full-time driver in NASCAR who is a woman will be? Would it be a Natalie Decker or a Hailie Deegan, who is making a lot of noise as a 16-year-old in the K&N series? Who do you think it might be?
I like Decker. I really like Decker. I mean, I've been kind of following her career the last year and a half, and I know some friends, or I know some people that are friends with her, and they think that she's the real deal, and I tend to agree with them. I mean, she needs some breaks. I mean, just like any other female driver, be it in the truck series or the Xfinity series or in ARCA or whatever series, the Wayland Modified. I mean, you name the series. There are a lot of female drivers out there. They just need a break, and they need a sponsor that's going to be willing to go forward and say, hey, I'm not afraid to back a female driver. That's going to be the biggest key.
I see no reason why you wouldn't. And Decker, a 20-year-old who finished fifth in the ARCA race at Daytona this week. One other name that I think has the personality to do it is Amber Balcaen, who made some appearances on the K&N series last year. She's from Winnipeg. Briefly was with Martin McClure, and has been on this show twice. And I think, I just spoke of Danica Patrick's personality helping her out so well. Well, I think that Amber Balcaen has that personality as well that could really represent a race team and a sponsor very well. So there you go. That's a name I'll ask you to promote a bit. Jerry Bonkowski, Amber Balcaen from Winnipeg. But also, read his stuff on Motorsports Talk. You'll find it through NBCSports.com. Al Unser Jr., Kenny Bernstein, the most versatile motorsports writer I know, Jerry Bonkowski. Thanks for joining us on Tri-City Sports Now. When we come back, Louisville is no longer the 2013 National Basketball Champion. I'll tell you about that when we come back. Or at least that's what the NCAA wants us to believe.